We are here in lovely Philadelphia, and today we answer the age-old question, Pat's or Genos? I've never been to Philadelphia before, and I've never had like a real cheesesteak the way people say you're supposed to have it. So I figured I would go with the quintessential places that you hear about all over the place. Now, I know you guys are going to get on me for going right to the tourist traps, but you know what? After 2020 and the way 2021 started out, I honestly need a little bit of tourism right now. And I'm also really curious about this. Like, why do people call it a tourist trap? So my goal for this entire trip is to kind of get to the bottom of that. That's kind of what we're going to do in this video. And then maybe at some point while we're still down here, we'll try like a real cheesesteak, which I know you guys gave us a lot of really good suggestions for in the comments. So go ahead, flame me down in the comments down below, but you know what? It's going to happen. So let's get down there and let's order these cheesesteaks. So our first stop today was Pat's, and it took them just a minute to put this together. They got everything ready to go, and I'm just excited to try this. So gotta dig in. Now when I thought Cheese Whiz, I thought they actually made like a cheese sauce. This is literally Cheese Whiz. One thing to note is it's kind of on the thinner side. I thought it was going to be a thick like hoagie roll, but this is like a thin hoagie roll.
Yeah.
So that's good. Like I said, literally it's Cheese Whiz. We got some onions in there. Little on the dry side, actually. I thought it was going to be not cooked as far as it is, but these places are open 24 hours, so I don't see how they can cook steak to order 24 hours a day. I know very little about the history here, so it's obviously historic since 1930. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm more looking to get down to, does this feel like an authentic experience? And I would say, yeah, actually. The bread, to me, almost tastes like a pretzel roll. It's like a little saltiness to it. I can't really place my finger on it. But there's also like, it's got a different kind of crustiness than I'm used to on a sub roll. They had like a vat of these peppers, so I figured gotta try those. Nice little cherry pepper action. Now those are pretty spicy.
If you die tonight, it's because of
What?
If you die tonight, it's because of the sidewalk pepper.
Sidewalk pepper.
There's a bucket on the sidewalk.
And then there's like these. I got the hiccups from that thing. These little like Sichuan peppers that I'm actually gonna rock right into the sandwich there. That's pretty freaking spicy. Another thing we did was we split one whole one because we thought it was going to be a lot, and honestly I could have crushed this entire thing, but I did prep all morning by not eating anything, so that's on me. I'm going back in for the pepper.
Some of them already did.
I don't want to be a hater, but I think I like the pepper more than I like the cheesesteak. But that said, the cheesesteak is very good. Let's go see what Genos is like. All right, so we're here at Genos now, and this steak is actually not chopped up quite as much as Pat's. So, and the onions seem like they're not cooked quite as far as the ones at Pat, and they're kind of more of a topping and not really mixed in. So let's see what we got here. Now that sub roll is more akin to what I'm used to. from my past life making subs. Definitely a lot softer than Pat's. Definitely a lot greasier here, which I think actually works in their favor because it's a little more flavorful, but could definitely use some salt. There's some salt shakers here, which I might have to dig into, but this is good. I'm gonna need a minute to process to figure out which one I like better. Of course, I had to get the cherry pepper. I think it's the same cherry pepper, but let's see. Very good. Genos definitely has a lot more going as far as their image. They have like across the street here this thing called Genos Gear, and their branding's a little bit more on point, not leaning into the history quite as much as Pat's, which that's got to be a personal preference thing as far as what's the better approach. Yeah. You don't eat at these places if you're not looking to get a little dirty. This reminds me a lot of Steakums. I know it's real ribeye steak, but maybe it's because of the extra greasiness to it, which is good. It's like it reminds you of that childhood kind of feeling. So I figured I'd give you the rest of this update kind of back at the room, just nice and relaxed. We spent the afternoon kind of just walking around the shopping area there. Found a lot of really nice shops and picked up a lot of stuff, and you can go to the vlog to actually watch all that. I'll link it down below. If this is the first time you found a video by me, I do a lot of food reviews. They've been kind of local to my area, but now that we're able to get out, we're gonna do a lot more traveling. So if that appeals to you, hit subscribe and comment on the videos. I would love to meet you. But Pat's versus Genos. All right, so we got to break this down. I don't know that I can declare a clear winner, but I will. Let me talk about the strengths of each one and the weaknesses of each one, just so that we're on the same page as far as my opinion here. Genos hands down had the better beef. Now, I was telling Cassie this. I think where theirs suffered was it wasn't really seasoned very well. I feel like they leave that up to you. They leave salt shakers out, and they have the toppings bar and the hot peppers just like Pat's does. But Genos, I think, because it's a little bit greasier, I guess that's the right word, greasier. We're not talking about healthy places here. So it's not meant as a pejorative. Greasier is good in this case. That's where Genos excels. I also feel like the cheese works a little bit better with Genos. Now, Cassie and I kind of disagreed on a lot in this experience. She didn't like the onions at Pat's because she felt they were a little bit too bitter. And I honestly didn't really get a whole lot of that. For me, it worked really well. I thought it was really well seasoned. Their meat was a little bit weaker. I felt like it was a little dry, seasoned nicely, but not as moist. We can use that word in food reviews. Not as moist as Genos. I also had a better experience, I think, with the bread at Pat's. I felt like that one was a little bit chewier and kind of a little bit, I would say, crustier. Both of them were on the softer side, kind of like an upstate New York or even New York City sub roll, where it's just nice and soft. You don't get a whole lot of crust around the outside of the bread. And I think that's good. You don't want a crusty bread for a sandwich like this. As far as the Cheese Whiz, I feel like both of them are using the same type of thing, so there wasn't really much to parse there. I will say though that because the steak at Genos was a little bit juicier, it kind of melded with the Cheese Whiz and the onions a little better. The onions were cooked a little bit less at Genos, which I feel like that kind of adds to their advantage because you get a little bit of crispness out of those onions as well. So for me, I would say the perfect cheesesteak in that style, in that little corridor of, touristy kind of cheesesteak, establishments that have been around forever that everybody talks about and everybody goes to. I would say the perfect combination would be everything inside of Genos, inside of the roll that Pat's uses. Now, I better not find out that they use the same roll because then I'll be eating my words, but that's kind of what I feel. And I guess I got to give it to Genos. They kind of really, I think, did a lot better as far as what's inside of that cheesesteak. So Genos is my pick. I will say I totally understand where a lot of people are coming from as far as saying those places are not probably a quintessential cheesesteak place, even though they're like the place that everybody talks about, more touristy. I can see how you can come to that conclusion because They were kind of on the smaller side. $12 for those sandwiches is, I think, very reasonable. But what I've come to know a cheesesteak as, from like the Instagram generation kind of, food PRON type stuff, I expected them to be a little bit bigger and a little bit fuller. And I think that's the experience that you're going to get at a lot of the places that you guys suggested in the comments a few weeks back, saying that, those places aren't your best bet as far as the experience. But we had a lot of fun doing this, and I think that, the little pepper bar on the street was actually a lot of fun. For me at least, it's one of those things that you don't see that all the time. It's been quite a while since we've done any kind of trips, so it really was the right thing. It kind of hit the spot. It was really cool that we went there at a time where they weren't totally busy. A lot of fun, and I would suggest personally, now I'm sure you can go to 100 better places, but I would suggest just trying this just for the history of it all. You kind of can see them across the street from each other, and part of me thinks that maybe these guys are in cahoots on some level to kind of get you there, kind of like a tourism ring kind of thing. It is what it is, and it's a lot of fun. You go into these things and you go in looking to enjoy it, not really to go in and criticize and break it down to the level of like, oh my God, you're gonna have a terrible experience because it's a tourist trap. Sometimes tourist traps aren't terrible. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit it with a like. Comment down below if you want to see us go anywhere else in the world and try touristy or non-touristy stuff, and consider subscribing. I'm gonna leave a link to our travel videos right here, and you can check out that playlist and you can binge watch all of it. Have an awesome day, and we will see you in the next video.